All right, we are live in beautiful, sunny Florida. And today, fight fans, we are going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night 119, Machida versus Brunson in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Um, Man, this is one of the cards I've been more excited. This is the card I've been the most excited for. I should say out of the fight nights, because obviously all the pay-per-views are banging, but this card's been sticking out to me for a long time, man. This has all the recipes for a really, really fun night. I love the main event. I love the co-main event. I love that every single fight on this 12 fight card is Brazil versus the world, which is pretty awesome. Me personally, I'm going 6 Brazil wins, 6 Brazil losses. So we'll see how that plays out, man. But coming off a bad week last week, man. I got swept for UFC Gdansk. Lost 7.6 units. Really bad, man. Like, I have no excuses for it. It was just playing sloppy. But we bounced back over here, man, and I've been known to do it before. So, and I'm glad we have such an amazing card to do it here, man. I'm expecting to for sure bounce back with a big night here. And, I also have a DraftKings lineup I'm very solid on this week. And I do have 5 bets. So going to go over those 5 bets with you guys. Going to go over the DraftKings lineups and, of course, the actual breakdowns and predictions. So starting off with the first fight of the night, man, we got Christian Colombo plus 150 taking on Marcelo Ghom minus 170. Ghom, the newcomer here. So this kid's like 5-0. Yeah, he's 5-0. I believe 5 finishes, maybe even 5 first round finishes. Yeah, 5 first round finishes, all knockout. Thing is here, all the he hasn't faced anybody of note. Every single guy he's fought is 0-0, 0-0, 0-0, 0-0, 1-2. Now we do all know Christian Colombo as one of the bigger jobbers in the entire UFC. I mean, this guy's terrible. He made his debut, went to a draw with Jargis Danho, who's one of the worst fighters to ever grace the UFC octagon, and then he just got submitted by Luis Henrique in his last fight, who's actually a decent heavyweight, but not a world beater by any means. His only other loss besides that was another submission loss to Victor Pesta. So just shows you what kind of level Christian Colombo is on. And I've already talked about this fight way too much just because that's how really bad of a fight it is. But you never know, man. This kid, Marcelo Ghom, although he's unproven, he could be something. He's a young kid. He's big for the weight class. He's 6'4". He's athletic. He's in good shape. And I think he has enough tools to beat Christian Colombo, probably for sure. I don't really. I mean, it's heavyweight, and he's making his debut in his home country. He could have nerves. Never know, man. I would just highly recommend staying away from the spot. Honestly, I mean, he's probably Ghom. Maybe he's probably not terrible on DraftKings because he's probably going to get a finish, and he's only like a slight favorite. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Ghom here, and I'm going to say Christian Colombo gets submitted for the 3rd time in his career, and Marcelo Ghom gets the first sub win of his career. So I got Marcelo Ghom by, I'll say, 2nd round submission there. I'll say a rear naked choke. Passing from this fight altogether, though. So next fight, man, this is one I'm not going to be passing on. We got Jared Brooks minus 175 taking on Davison Alcantara plus 155. I love Brooks here, man. Brooks is a little beast, man. One thing I really like about Jared Brooks, unlike most flyweights, he's one of the few flyweights, him, Mighty Mouse Johnson. It's really only those 2 guys that come to mind that don't cut a whole lot of weight to get down to 125 pounds. This guy's a natural 125 pounder. And I think that's one of the reasons that Demetrius Johnson has had, well, not the only reason, but one of the reasons he's had so much success is because he is a pure 125 pounder. I mean, he doesn't cut a whole lot of weight. I'm sure 90% of flyweights, including Davison Alcantara, cut a shit ton of weight to get down to 125 pounds. That's just one thing that I like about Jared Brooks. And, on the feet, he's a little aggressive punching machine. He's got power for flyweight, man, and his boxing is not bad. It's not just come forward and throw bombs. He's got some technical boxing for sure, but it's all about the wrestling. The dude is so strong. I know he's one of the smaller flyweights, man, but he wrestles like a lightweight. He's a beast, and I really like this fight. 13-0 versus 12-0. Davison Alcantara. He's a bit of a wild man. He had some really entertaining fights outside of the UFC. His last fight, his UFC debut, he fought Marco Beltran, who virtually has zero takedown defense. Marco Beltran also just lost to Matt Schnell. I don't really hold that win in like high regard at all for Davison. I think this is probably like Davison's real UFC debut because I don't think Beltran is a really UFC level, man. But Jared Brooks is a serious dude, and Davison, although he was landing the takedowns in the last fight, and that was really key for him, I think he needs to worry about the takedowns this time in this fight. I think Jared Brooks out wrestles Davison with ease here, man. I think he takes him down and ragdolls him for 3 rounds. Maybe he gets a finish. It'd be nice because I do have Jared Brooks in DraftKings, man. I think he has a decent chance to finish, and I think if he wins, he's going to be landing a lot of takedowns. He's going to be landing a lot of ground and pound. And if it stays on the feet, Jared Brooks, he has bombs in his hands. He can knock the guy out, or he can just pitter patter his face all night long. So I think he scores a lot of points, even if it goes to decision. So I like Jared Brooks in DraftKings, and I do have him in a 2-unit parlay with somebody later in the card, and I probably should have waited because I got him at -190, and what is he now? -175. Still, I'm happy with him, man, because I personally lined him at like -230, so I thought there was value in that, and still, man. So I would recommend Brooks parlay for sure. I think he tools Davison here with the wrestling. But moving on, man, we got this is a good fight. I'm looking forward to this one. We got Zaleski dos Santos -210, taking on Max Griffin +175. Now, this, honestly, man, I'm just going to come out and say it because I'm sure a lot of people know I've been on the Zaleski train for a long time. I've always thought highly of the guy. He's a beast, and I've been betting him for a long time, and I've been cashing him as an underdog for a long time. He came in against Nicholas Dalby in his UFC debut, and he loses a split decision. It's his UFC debut. He was like a +250 in that fight, man. So I don't really hold that against him because he's come out in, what is it, the last, I want to say 3 or 4 fights, and he's put whoopings on dudes, to say the least. Omari Akhmedov, who's probably his most impressive win, he finishes him in the 3rd round, shows way, way, way better cardio than Omari Akhmedov. And, Omari, dude has a chin on him. I mean, we see Omari versus Al Hassan. Al Hassan is a dude with huge power. He was hitting Omari with all kinds of shots, and dude was eating him. And Zaleski, he fought Omari. He gave him a tough-ass fight and was able to put him away in the 3rd round. The dude comes out to fight, and the dude comes out to stay fighting all 3 rounds. He's not one of those guys that comes out to fight and gasses in the 3rd round. He comes to fight, and the dude's in shape, and he's super skilled. He's one of the most underrated fighters in the UFC. I'm really high on this kid. And when it comes to Max Griffin, I'm a little bit low on this kid, man. He's not young. I mean, he's been in the UFC less time than Zaleski's. You would think he's the newer guy, but he's actually older than Zaleski. He's not that young, man. And he came into the UFC, lost to Colby Covington. Granted, that's Colby Covington, great fighter. He got finished there. And then his sophomore appearance, his last fight, he was able to knock out Eric Montano in the 1st round, 54 seconds. But Eric Montano is he's a Montano, so doesn't really say much, man. He lost to Chidi Njokwani and Tachi Pala's fights. He lost on TUF season 16 to Matt Sakor, who is kind of a jobber as well, but that was a long time ago, so I won't hold him against him. But it seems like Max Griffin is just one of those guys that's decently athletic, has some pounce to his power, and has power, and he just looks to take guys' heads off. And I don't think that's a game plan that's going to go well with Zaleski dos Santos whatsoever. I think sharper on the feeder. On the feet, he's going to outstrike Max Griffin. He's just going to look a lot sharper in there. Lands all kinds of kicks. I mean, the Muay Thai is excellent here. I think he can. I think he might be able to just dominate Max with kicks alone, man. But I think he wins on the feet. I think he can out wrestle Max Griffin. Max Griffin has shown that weakness. Granted, he was taken down by Colby Covington, but I think Zaleski can land takedowns here, man. It wouldn't shock me in the slightest. So I like him here a lot. And wherever the fight goes, just 2 units on him, just because the price is not as good as I would have liked it to be. I was really hoping for like a -150, -140, but that does complete the 2-unit parlay. I have 2 units on Zaleski with Jared Brooks at +133 to win 2.66. So 2 units, Zaleski, Brooks. And I don't have Zaleski in DraftKings. It's not the way my lineup worked out. He was just a little expensive on there, and there weren't a whole lot of really cheap dogs in DraftKings I like, so I couldn't afford a whole lot of too many expensive guys. It just worked out to where he wasn't on it, but by all means, I would recommend putting him on there if it fits your other needs. But yeah, man. So I got Zaleski, and I'll say 3rd round TKO. I think he gets another 3rd round finish. So moving on here, we got Jared Gordon -165 taking on Hakran Diaz +145. Jared Gordon, he came in his UFC debut last time against Mitchell Quinones. Beat the bricks off that poor kid. Mitchell's actually not that bad, man. He's a decent fighter. So Jared's good, man. I mean, it shows a lot to really come out in your UFC debut and put on a performance like that. Hakran Diaz, on the other hand, has really gone on a decline lately. He just looked absolutely terrible against Andre Fili. So I think Gordon's in his prime. Diaz is on his way out, and that's really the biggest angle that I'm taking here. I also believe he has the style to beat Hawker, and I think he can stuff takedowns, because I think that's what's going to happen here. Jared's going to be outboxing Hawker, and he's going to stuff those Hawker takedowns and probably win a 30-27, but man, if you were to finish Hawker, it wouldn't shock me in the slightest. But no Gordon in DraftKings, but I do have him in a 1.5 unit parlay with somebody later in the card. But yeah, I do have him by 30-27 decision. And the man I do have him parlayed with later in the card, we got Antonio Carlos Jr. -440 now, taking on Jack Marshman +350. Now, obviously, I just spoiled it. I do, in fact, have Antonio Carlos Jr. here. He's probably one of my more confident plays of the night. Might be 1, 2, somewhere up there, man. But trying to see what I got him at. I got him at -365. So I beat the line by almost like a full dollar. I mean, he's still -360 range in a couple bucks, but yeah, man. Antonio Carlos Jr. is going to absolutely roll here. Jack Marshman is what he is. He's a European brawler. He can go out there and win some fights. If he has like the Magnus Siedenblad, that was the best Jack Marshman. That was Jack Marshman's best night. And I bet on him in that fight, but he's really not the most talented fighter in the world. He doesn't really have any elite skill sets. Obviously, he's a striker first and foremost, which that's the kind of guy that Antonio Carlos Jr. is going to beat, man. A guy that is going to want to strike, and Antonio's going to use those takedowns and out-grapple the poor guy to death. Maybe he catches Antonio Carlos Jr. coming in. Antonio was knocked out before by Dan Kelly, but Marshman, he should have done so much more in that fight against Ryan James. I think, although he won that fight, that was a little bit of a disappointment there, and his stock, if anything, actually dropped. Antonio Carlos Jr., his stock has been rising, man. He's come a long way since that Daniel Kelly loss. You look at that fight against Marvin Vettori, who's a real high-level prospect that I'm pretty high on. He's a great fighter. And Antonio Carlos Jr. came out in that 3rd round, and I was expecting him to be gassed and for Marvin to just roll on him there. But he showed a much improved gas tank, and he won that 3rd round, and he beat Marvin Vettori fair and square, a very good fighter who's out there bouncing back, getting wins. So I think the grappling is just going to be way too much here. He probably gets them out of there quick. Probably submission first, second round. I don't know what there is to say, man. This is a pretty simple breakdown. I just think Jack's going to want to go out there and look to take his head off, and he's not going to get a chance to do it because Carlos is going to get it onto the ground. So I got ACJ first round submission, and I don't have him in DraftKings. I really wish I did, but like I said, just some stuff didn't work out for me this week, but I am still very solid in my lineups. I'm happy with it. But I do have a total of 3 units on Antonio Carlos Jr. I have him in that 1.5 unit play parlay with Jared Gordon. That's at like plus 105 or something like that. 1.5 to win 1.68, so you do the math. I can't even remember. And then I have him in another 1.5 unit parlay with somebody later in the card. So I got ACJ first round sub. Next fight, I'm looking forward to this a whole lot. Man, we got all right. I think I'm back. That was weird. Yeah, my laptop kind of shit on me there, but I'm back. I'm here. I'm sorry about that, guys. So what fight were we about to talk about? That was the worst. Oh, I'm super excited about this one, man. I don't have any plays of yet, but it's going to be quite the cracker. We got Vicente Luque minus 130 taking on Nico Price plus 110. Okay, I'm not going to give away who I'm picking just yet, but so looking at Vicente Luque first, obviously training in combat club with Henry Hooft. Clearly, he's brought up as a grappler. He's a grappling background, but Henry Hooft has really given him quite the great, striking arsenal. The dude's out there putting away really good fighters in the UFC. Knocked out Bilal Muhammad, really good fighter, and knocked out Urbina as well, but Hector Urbina is Hector Urbina. So the dude's got legit lethal grappling, and now he's putting together some real lethal striking. So Vicente Luque is a very dangerous fighter, and I think you should really throw some caution before betting against him there. But Nico Price, man, Nico Price is really a guy that's came out of nowhere, won 3 straight fights now, three finishes as well, man. I know that Morono fight got overturned because he was smoking a little weed, which is obviously extremely stupid, but it is what it is. Nico Price, he's out there submitting guys, he's out there knocking guys out, but it's so tough, man. It's so tough. I actually really honestly, if I'm being truthful, I think the Alex Morono performance was, I don't want to say his best just because he was he was hurt in that fight. It wasn't going his way at first, but he came in that fight short notice and knocked the guy out. So that's impressive to me because the thing is, he submitted Brandon Thatch, a guy with no grappling, and he knocked out Alan Joban, a guy with no chin. So it doesn't impress me a whole lot. But the dude's a winner. He's winning fights. So, I mean, I can't criticize the guy. I like him a lot, and I actually am going to pick him here to get it done. I got Nico Price, the dog, here. I don't know whether he gets it done on the feet. I don't know whether he goes and wrestles Vicente Luque, but it's just a real gut feeling, and it's not just my gut, man. It's my brain too to telling me to pick Niko Price, and plus 110 just isn't enough for me because, like I said, you got to be careful betting against a guy like Vicente Luque. So this is just a really amazing fight that I'm happy to, just sit back and watch. I know my good friend Justin from UFC Pro Picks is pretty big on Vicente Luque. I think he put 4 units on him. So I'm going to be rooting for Justin there. But, you know, I would be pretty happy to see Niko Price come through once again. 4 wins in a row, 4 finishes in a row would be really impressive and would probably boost him right up there to the top 15. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm really looking forward to that fight, though. But I'm passing from a betting perspective. But like I said, I was having trouble finding dogs in DraftKings. So one of the dogs I did end up with is Niko Price. So I am going to be rooting for Niko Price, obviously, because need to win those DraftKings. I've been shitting the bed on DraftKings. I didn't even put DraftKings in the title of this video just because I'm not winning it right now. But it is what it is, man. Got Niko Price in DraftKings. Even if he loses, I got my boy Justin. He's going to win a big bet there with Luque. So I got Niko. I don't know how he gets it done. I'd love to see it finish, though. I will say first round submission. All right, first round knockout. I don't think he'll submit Luque, but I think he finishes him, man. It's really hard to say what's going to happen here. I'm not super confident in it, but I got Niko. So next fight, man, I think the biggest favorite on the card. Yeah, we got the biggest favorite on the card. We got John Lineker minus 500 taking on Marlon Chito Vera plus 400. The line's warranted, man. I don't see a whole lot of ways Marlon Vera wins this fight. John Lineker is just such a beast, man. He's such a hard guy to fight. He's incredibly stocky. He's so short and strong, and he just comes at you with these bombs, and there's so many limited options of things you can do against the guy. You just have to fight the perfect fight. I don't see a guy like Marlon Chito Vera going out there being able to execute a TJ Dillashaw-like game plan. I think John Lineker probably stuffs takedowns if Marlon even goes for him. And just eats him up on the feet, man, because although Marlon Chito Vera, he did knock out Brad Pickett. He did win that fight, man, but Brad Pickett was out striking him, and that's a retired old Brad Pickett. So I don't see a way Marlon wins this other than like some odd scramble where he gets a submission. John Lineker has been submitted before, and he's been submitted by not the best fighters in the world, like Louis Gaudinot, but it could happen, but it's obviously extremely unlikely, and I don't see how Marlon even gets the fight to where it's in a position for him to be able to scramble. I think it just stays on the feet, and Lineker has his way with him, man. So I do have John Lineker in a 3-unit parlay. He was way too steep for DraftKings, so no DraftKings there, but I do have 3 units on John Lineker. Moving on here, man. This is similar to the Price Luque fight, where it's such a banging fight, but no bet, and I kind of want to stay away from a bet. But I got some strong feelings on it, man, because we got Jack Hermanson minus 135 taking on Thiago Santos plus 115. I've been winning on both these guys. I had Thiago at dog money against Gerald Meerschaert. And I bet on Jack Hermanson in his last 2 fights against Brad Scott and Alex Nicholson. Jack Hermanson is probably one of the better European wrestlers there is out there. The dude has really strong takedowns, and Thiago Santos doesn't have the best takedown defense in the entire world, doesn't have the best grappling in the world. There's a lot of things that can happen here, man. If Jack thinks he can go out there and strike with Thiago, then he might get his head kicked off. You never know, man, because I do give Thiago the striking advantage. He's a scary motherfucker on the feet, and he destroyed Jack Marshman in the striking. He knocked him out amazingly, and Jack Marshman is a very good striker. So I don't think it's wise for Hermanson to stand with Santos. I think Santos probably would win the fight were it to be striking. The takedowns are going to be there for Jack Hermanson, and I'm pretty confident in that because he's shown some real good fight IQ. He's taken guys down at the right time, and he's taken, he's executing the correct game plan, and he's winning fights, and he's winning fights in the first round, and I think that's what he does here, man. I got Jack Hermanson to take down Thiago Santos and ground and pound him into a first round TKO there. No plays on Jack Hermanson, but I do have him in DraftKings. So I like Jack here a lot, man. I know a couple of my buddies are on Thiago, but I see the takedowns being here for him, man. When I envision the fight in my head, I don't really see it any other way than Thiago not being able to stuff takedowns and Jack just beating him up on the ground. But yeah, man, if the price gets a little better, I might go ahead and throw a couple on her, but is what it is right now. I'm happy to pass. I'm happy to sit back and watch this one. So I got Jack first round TKO. Moving on here, man, we got Francisco Trinaldo minus 200 taking on Jim Miller plus 170. I think this line's a little wacky, man. I do have Francisco Trinaldo. Now, I'll admit I'm kind of just breaking down this fight off memory. I didn't really do any tape study for this fight just because I feel like I've seen both these guys fight like 60 times in this year anyway, so it doesn't matter, and I'm not really interested in it from a betting perspective anyway, but I just feel like Francisco is he's sharper on the feet, and he's going to be throwing more volume, and he's going to be able to keep it on the feet most likely, so I simply see Trinaldo being the better striker here for 3 rounds and probably winning a 30-27, especially in Brazil. At first, I was thinking, wow, this Miller line is really wide. I see it going to a decision. What if he makes it close, can nab a couple judges' scorecards? But I remember this is in Brazil, and I don't want to count on a possible American robbery there. Although it's happened before, I don't want to bank on it here, man. So I'm happy to pass from this fight, and I'm happy to watch it as a fan, man, because I do think this fight is going to be pretty banging because both guys do come to fight, and both guys need wins. So I got Trinaldo 30-27 decision, passing from the fight altogether, though. So we got Rob Font minus 185 taking on Pedro Munhoz plus 160. I think this is the Rob Font show right here. I don't think they could have given him a better matchup here, man. Just obviously Pedro is extremely dangerous. He's got really strong chokes. But Font's no slouch of a grappler himself, man. And I think I saw a couple interviews where he said he was going to try to test his grappling against Pedro. Now, as somebody who's betting Font, that I don't want to see him do that, and I highly advise him not to. But I'm not so sure that Pedro is going to school him on the ground, man. Rob Font's got some real good grappling. Obviously, he's a striker first and foremost, and that's what he should be based on his body type. He's real long and eats dudes up with jabs and kicks. And I think he can do that to Pedro here. I mean, we saw how badly Pedro was getting schooled on the feet by Justin Scoggins before Scoggins went in and got completely eaten up by that guillotine. Basically, I see this fight being exactly like Justin Scoggins versus Pedro Munhoz without the whole diving into the guillotine thing, and I see that happening over 3 rounds. Rob Font keeps it on the feet, hopefully. Boxes up Pedro, kicks him in the body a few times en route to a 30-27 decision. And I do indeed have Rob Font in that 3-unit parlay with John Lineker. So 3 units, Font Lineker to win 2.83. So moving on to the main event here, man, we got Colby Covington. Did I say the main event? I hopefully said the co-main event, or else I just look stupid. But we got Colby Covington minus 130, taking on Damian Maia plus 110. Come out and say it, man. I did take the dog shot on Damian Maia, and I got it at a hell of a lot better price than what it's at right now. I got 2 units plus 150. I just missed the plus 170. That would have been a little sweeter. But still, man, I'm very happy about this line because I personally lined it. I ever so slightly favored Damian Maia. Then I saw plus 150, took the shot, did a little more research. I'm a little more confident in Maia now. I'm really glad I took that shot when I did, because if I would have waited, then did the tape study, I probably would have been stuck with this plus 110, maybe plus 120. But man, what is there to say? I just don't think Colby Covington is quite like ready for a guy like Damian Maia. Damian Maia is one of those tricky motherfuckers, like a specialist who's so good at one thing that you just have to be like the elite of the elite, well-rounded fighter. Like you have to be the fucking man to beat a guy like Damian Maia or a guy like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Um, Damian Maia's been winning fights, man, and he lost one fight in the last how many years, and against the champ Tyron Woodley. Um, a lot of people think Colby Covington can just go out there and do exactly what Tyron Woodley did: keep the fight standing and outstrike for 3 rounds. Well, first and foremost, I don't think Colby Covington has anywhere near the technical striking that Tyron Woodley does. I think Colby's striking is actually still quite green. Fortunately for him, though, Damian Maia is no karate black belt, so it is what it is. I think you know what, he might be a karate black belt, but if he is, that's who did he get that from? McDonald's. But obviously, Damian Maia is no great striker. That's no secret here. But the thing is, and a lot of people think Damian Maia can't land these takedowns on Colby Covington. It frustrates me a lot, man, because what is Colby is he's a wrestler, and I'm really having a hard time explaining this, but Colby Covington is a wrestler, an amateur wrestler. He wrestled in high school and college. Damian Maia is a MMA wrestler. It's a lot different, man. You know, he's figured out a way to get these great wrestlers down. You know, he's taken down amazing wrestlers. He's taken down guys like Ryan LaFleur. He's taken down guys like Jorge Masvidal, Colby Covington's main training partner. And, you can say that Colby training with Masvidal can help him all he wants, but I don't know how much advice I want from a guy that lost to the guy I'm about to fight. I think you should, try to do your own thing a little bit there. I'm not saying he's going to listen to everything Jorge says, but I don't know. I'm just going off on rants and rambles. I just really like this fight for Maia, man. I think, Colby went in there against a dangerous jiu-jitsu guy before in Worley Alves. He made a mistake. He got submitted in the first minute. And I don't think, how is he going to finish Damian Maia here? He has to go in there with him for 15 minutes and, put on a pace and outstrike or whatever for 15 minutes. That's a lot of time for one mistake. That's all it takes with Damian Maia is one mistake. And this dude's young. Literally, I don't think this is probably the first guy he's fought that's like, you can say what you want about Dong Hyun Kim. He was a top 10 guy when he fought him, but I think we know Dong Hyun Kim's a little bit over the hill when it comes to his career. He's never fought like a real, and I'm not saying Damian Maia is now. Obviously, Damian's 40 years old, but he's still out there fighting guys like Tyron Woodley and beating guys like Jorge Masvidal. Damian's still in the prime of his career. Sure, he's 40 years old, but he's in the prime of his career. I think he finds a way to take the back on the feet like he has been doing in his last fights. He's going to find a tricky way to get Colby down to the mat, and he's going to submit him. So I got Damian Maia first round submission, man. Whether he gets Colby down to the feet and submits him, whether Colby stupid goes for a takedown and gets submitted, or, any matter of way, man. I feel like it's going to happen. This fight's going to hit the mat because at least one guy wants it there, and I think he can take it there. Who knows? Maybe Colby wants to go and wrestle Damian Maia. I would be very worried about that if I were you Colby bettors out there, but I like it, man, and I would put more on it if that line was still available, that plus 150, but I'm happy with the 2 here. 2 units to win 3 units on Damian Maia, and I got him in a first round submission. Now moving on to a fight I got some strong feelings about, and I'm really honestly tired and sick of talking about it, but is what it is. We got Derek Brunson minus 160 taking on Lyoto Machida plus 140. And by the way, I do have Damian Maia in DraftKings, and Derek Brunson is in DraftKings as well. And Derek Brunson is a 1.5 unit bet with Antonio Carlos Jr. as well. Now, I'll explain exactly why I like Derek Brunson here, and there's a lot of reasons. So first, Lyoto Machida. I'll just start with Machida and talk about why the fade is in effect here. So You got a guy, he's 40 years old. He's coming off a drug test suspension, 2.5 years. So 2.5 year layoff at 40 years old. But I mean, was he at least looking good before the layoff? Not at all, man. 2 fights ago, he was absolutely broken against Luke Rockhold. Just demolished, tooled, and broken and tapped. Then next fight against Yoel Romero, he was brutally, like life-changing KO'd. As soon as Yoel got it onto the ground, he just hammered away with elbows, and those were life-changing elbows. When I say life-changing, I mean life-changing. I don't use that quote. I don't overuse that quote. I take that seriously. He took some big damage there, man, and the thing is, when you're a young guy, you can do the things that Lyoto Machida is trying to do. You can come back from 2.5 year layoffs. Look at Ali Quinta. He's a young guy, came off the layoff, looked great. When you're a young guy, you can come back from a devastating knockout like that, like Michael Bisping, who got knocked out in 2009 brutally, and now he's the champion here in 2017. When you're 40 years old, you can't come back from 2.5 year layoffs after being brutally KO'd. And now transitioning over to his opponent, Derek Brunson, this is not a guy you want to come back against in a 2.5 year layoff. And I'm going to keep saying that because it's really the most important thing here. 2.5 year layoff at 40 years old. You have to be ready for a guy like Derek Brunson. Now, Derek Brunson has a lot of flaws. I'm a huge Derek Brunson fan, and I've gotten hate for that in the past just because he's an easy fighter to criticize because he makes a lot of mistakes, but I'm a big fan of the guy, and I've won on the guy more than I've lost on the guy. Derek is extremely athletic, extremely quick. He put the blitz that he puts forth on these guys when he comes out with the chin up and just full force just tries to blast them away. It's sloppy, and he leaves his chin out there, but it's pretty hard to defend, man. I mean, he's going out there and knocking out all these guys, and he's knocking out really good strikers as well, like Uriah Hall. He's putting guys away like Uriah Hall. He's putting away really tough guys like Dan Kelly. And he's going out there and hurting the champion, Robert Whittaker. He hurt Robert Whittaker in that fight. It wasn't that long ago. I'm sure you guys remember, but he had Whittaker rocked. The dude has power in his hands, and really, like I was talking about with Damian Maia, a guy that's so good at something and you have to be ready for it. You have to be ready for the blitz of Derek Brunson. And so far in these past few years, the only guy that was really able to survive the blitz was Robert Whittaker, the champ. And now the Anderson Silva fight, Derek Brunson took a very, very different approach. He was coming off that Whittaker loss, and he was fighting the GOAT. He kind of fought with nerves simply because of his opponent and that he had just come off a knockout. But in my opinion, he won that Anderson Silva fight. Really bad decision, but he got his confidence back under him in his last fight, Dan Kelly. And that's another big reason why I'm high on Brunson here. He got his confidence back. He knocked out a tough guy in Dan Kelly, and I think he knocks out another old man here, man. I got Derek Brunson first round knockout, 1.5 unit parlay along with Antonio Carlos Jr. I think he blitzes Machida. Machida doesn't survive. That's all she wrote. If this fight goes into the second round, things start to get a little interesting. I still think Derek can also implement a wrestling game plan. People forget what a great wrestler he is, that he was taking down Yoel Romero. So I think he should have no problem taking down Lyoto if he really wants to do that. Pound him out there. Do the same thing Yoel did. Wouldn't surprise me at all, man. So very confident on Derek here, man. Like it a lot. DraftKings, and I kind of want to put more on him just for shits and gigs. I'll look at the props with you guys. Brunson by TKO/KO. It's only -120. How about Brunson round 1 +180? I don't like round 1 props. I don't like doing those. I never win those. But yeah, I like Brunson here. Just 1.5 units on him straight, but he probably gets it done by finish. So that's it, man. I felt like I rambled a lot this card, but is what it is. appreciate you guys all listening very much. Let's win some money this weekend, man. Let's win some money at DraftKings as well, because it hasn't been going good for me at all in DraftKings. Last week was just a tough week for me overall, man, but we bounced back over here, guys. So appreciate you watching. Subscribe to the channel. All kinds of fun shit coming. Like the video, it takes just 2 seconds. Comment below. Tell me who you're betting on this weekend. Really interested to hear what you guys are betting on. And follow me at Twitter at MMAKelton. Talk fights with me. I'm down to talk fights with any of you guys. I actually tweeted today. I was so fucking bored at work, man. So I just hit up Twitter and was like, somebody DM me and talk about fights, because this sucks and I want to talk about fights. So obviously I'm very pumped for this weekend, man. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Appreciate you watching. Enjoy the fights this weekend.